All right, do you like it when we work on the same thing twice in a row? Well, I just love that. But that's what we're gonna do right after this. Welcome back. If you haven't seen my videos before, I'm Ross the Oliver Man. The old 2020 here. Last time we fixed this leak, which is still clean, you know, so that's good. No leaking there. But we discovered, or I discovered, I don't know how much of it made it to camera, that the reason it's so wet up here, in addition to a lot of things, like I said, it's probably power steering pump's probably leaking, but under here is a little hydraulic reservoir tank, and one of the lines to it was leaking pretty aggressively, which then the fan will suck up and blow all over everywhere. And so we're going to try to fix that, and the solution came to me in a dream. Hopefully it's going to work like what I intend, but step one's going to be pull the hood off, which is not hard to do because there's nothing holding it. So give me a second and I'll bring you right back here. I don't know what originally held the hood down on the front. There's some latches and stuff, but that setup's long gone as far as working the right way. So. All right, our culprit is right here. This little hard line, and it goes down in there, and I'm not exactly sure where it goes into, but what's probably going to happen is to take the alternator loose so that I can get to it. Because yeah, another joy of loader tractors is stuff right in your way, you know. I'm also going to take the battery cable off because that's something we don't need, causing us a issue. But my solution that I'm thinking of, instead of like also this hose, I want to replace while I'm at it, which goes all the way back here and under this floorboard, which I think is not a big deal. But what I'm thinking is, what if a guy would take a piece of steel brake line and bend it up and then only have like this much hose connecting the two pieces? I think that would be much more better. And so that's what I'm wanting to do. But I think, like I said, I think what I'm going to have to do here is probably take that alternator out of my way so I can even see what's happening. We got to get to that end of it or there's no point in continuing. It's also fixing to snow here in the next day or so, so I would also like to get a bunch more stuff put away under the shed. Let's hope that happens, because yeah, I've got about a day of just putting away tools back into the service truck, which has become neglected. I used to be very particular, and now I just don't care about anything. That's what life does to you. So another sad thing is this was a brand new belt I just put on when we worked on that hydraulic pump, and now it's soaked with oil. So sad. Flipping that off of there. Or not. Let's... That did not help us as far as seeing what's happening. Okay, so I'm not exactly sure what's happening. I know that See, there's our power steering pump down in there. And I think what this line is that's leaking is like an overflow line, or a, you know, pressure relief line. I put that on there so that didn't rub something at some point. There's a union. Is that a steel line into that? Is that what I'm seeing? And that's why it's not making sense? In which case, that's what's leaking. That's what that feels like. Well, friends, I'm not sure that I'm going to really be able to do what I actually want to do, because it looks like it stops here. And I don't know if I'd have to look at a parts book and figure out what holds that tube in, because that's part of our trouble. So I wonder if I can get that pulled up off of there. It'd be awfully nice to take this with me, so I knew what size to do. See, that just concerns me that surely that's not threaded in there, is it? Let's see if it is. Although it would be nicer to have that cleaned up first. So maybe what I want to do is wait to try to pull that out of there till I run to town real quick. I can get some more brake clean, just kind of squirt in there and maybe get that off. If that is just a threaded in tube, I'll pull it out, back it out, and see what I can do to seal that up, and then we'll go from there. But what I'm thinking is, if a guy would make a 90-degree tube to go through this foam, you know, then he could just have some simple little, there we go. I could just have some simple, yeah, just a little short section of hose to connect each end, is what I'm kind of thinking. And so that begs the question, what size brake line would that take? Well, it looks kind of like, I don't know. Let me get some ends. I've got some short ends. Let's see what this size is. I think that's smaller than it. This is 5/16. Is that? I think that's what it is. I think 5/16 would do it. Yeah, okay. So, if I get some 5/16 steel line and make me something with a little piece of rubber between, that would solve that problem right nice. And like I said, I'll get some brake clean and we'll figure out that tube situation, because I think it's been leaking out of that too. And then of course I put the line across the hood and made a mess, but that's fine. But my next thing is going to be, it would be nice to make a line that went and took up some of this distance, even if it was just over the motor till like under here somewhere, because that would probably be easier, you know. Like, I don't know exactly what I'm thinking, but instead of having rubber hose all the way, because I'm not so sure about the quality of that rubber hose anymore, it would be nice to maybe you know what I'm saying. Let's see what we can come up with though. This cover just comes off, and I'm sure that line goes up under here I can't remember where exactly, but it's not a big deal where it goes. How do you come off here, cover? I don't quite remember. The boot's gotta go through. Well, I don't know if we lost footage or not. I noticed the camera froze up, so that's great. But we're down here where we need to get to. And I'm thinking, even if I'd have to do this and this one in 2 sections of line, I think I could snake one through there much easier than, you know what I'm saying? Like I could make one line here and connect it with like a union even if I had to, and then that way I could bend it independently where it would go where it needs to go. So I'd need 2 pieces of brake line and a union, and then some rubber hose to connect both ends. And then I could, you know, tuck it back in there. It could be zip tied or whatever it has to be between those other 2 lines we had loose the other day. But that might cut down finally on some of this mess that it has always been making. So I believe that a trip to town is in order for me right now. I called, it is the first day of the year, but I called and they said they're open till 8 o'clock, the O parts store. So I guess that's where I'll go. And I'll need to get some clamps, some hose, and some brake line. And then I think we will be in business. I should probably get a tape measure and kind of do a little bit of guesstimating of what I think I need. And then they probably won't have that, and I'll have to just take whatever they got. So I will leave you here for now, and I'll be right back. All right, we're back. Hence the reason I don't like to go to the O parts store, and I'd rather go to my local privately owned Napa, because they don't have always what I want. And this is no exception. The shortest piece of brake line they had was 40 inches, so we're gonna have to deal with that. And 3 pieces of brake line, a can of brake cleaner, some hose clamps, 2 foot of hose, $67. That's a little much, but I want this done, so we're just gonna live with it. Now, step A is gonna be to clean up and try to get that tube out and see what we're working with. According to the parts books, it just looks like it is a threaded in tube, which is excellent because we can do something about that. But I have to get some of the trash away from it. And yeah, and there's only one way I know how to do that. Brake clean. I'm going to, I brought this light as well. I can see better. I mean, they did not give you very good access at all. Like I said, this is a totally different design than the later ones. The later ones are the steering box is different, and then this pump is driven. There is no pump. The pump is the hydraulic. What am I trying to say? Your power steering comes from your main hydraulic pump on the later ones. All right, so having no plan, let's just unthread this and see what we're working with and hope that it really is made that way. I think it is. 1/8 inch pipe thread, cool. We'll clean this up a little more and we'll put some thread tape on, and then we'll figure out somehow to thread it down in there. Let's take a minute and appreciate how they made this. It's basically an 1/8 inch steel pipe nipple, and they jammed something in there and welded it on. So yeah, I think, unless that's machined in there. Maybe it's the paint that's making it look, yeah, maybe they did machine that as one, I don't know. But the point is, it ain't gonna do it for us because of the way that it is. So we're gonna put some thread tape on it and try to tighten it up in there and hope that that gets us to what we want. Now this is going to cause us some great grief because it's going to make us where we can't gonna make it where it doesn't turn in easy now. Before we were doing everything by hand, and that was about as much room as we had. Now we're going to have to figure out a way to grip on that, turn it in. Let's see if that feller will do it. Yeah, it's gonna do it. It's just gonna be slow about it. Come on. Come on, you mama. Maybe if I go this way. See, this is what I don't like. I bet I could get it tighter if I could get in there better. And I don't know what way that would be. I don't think I can go this. Well, I think I probably got it a lot better than it was. So we're gonna try it, you know. It might leak like a sieve, but such is life. I'm really struggling with trying to find somewhere to put you that is gonna make it all nice and such. But if I do this and kind of do some figuring, I can figure out where I want it to go through. And this is not a precise art that we're doing here, since it doesn't exist and we're making our own thing. We're gonna kind of guess. We want that bend to be. Alright, we're gonna try that. It may or may not be what we want. Yeah, see, it's a little bit more than I wanted, or not enough of what I wanted. I really wanted it to be in this, like that, there. Well, we could try a do-over. This piece is long enough that I might be able to. We'll just see. We'll see what we come up with here. See, I really want. Let's try that. It looks like I'm not doing it right, but I didn't do it right the first time, so. Oh yeah, this way's gonna be what I want. Let me cut. Since life is not playing nice with me, let me cut this off. And that could be a trick too, because I'm thinking for some reason or another, there it is. I need to get another mini tubing cutter. This came out of the, well, if I can put it here in the view. I always forget that you need to watch. This little tubing cutter is handy as a pocket on a shirt, but it came out of the cheapo tool bin somewhere, one at a store, and it's getting where it's practically wore out. But I really like them. I mean, it's super duper handy. It does what we want. Boys. But it doesn't make a very clean cut anymore. That's what I'm getting at. That's why it's about time to move it on. Now, if we test fit what we're gonna have, we can do that number right there. And then we're only gonna have a couple little short ends of hose, and that's what I want. But knowing what I know about things and stuff, I know that we won't be content to just work for me, so I'm gonna have to put a little bit of a flare on this end to give the hose something to grip on so it doesn't just pull off the end. We're not gonna really go all the way with a flare, but we're gonna swell it up a little. That's what I'm saying. Because it wouldn't be fun if you didn't get to get out all your tools, you know, and just make a mess of everything. I probably can't do this with you in that spot because I don't think I'll have the leverage I need to do the things that I want to do. So you might just have to pretend. I guess I could move you, but that would almost be like I'm a good cameraman, and I'd hate to do that. People are still leaving comments on how terrible my camera work is, so sure. I'd hate to disappoint them by doing something correct. That's almost pretty like I know what I'm doing. But that's what I'm wanting. Right like that. So now, we're gonna try to figure out how much hose we need. There's a lot of quiet time as I set up the failure, you know? So you just have to get used to that. Sing yourself a song or something while you're waiting. I try to trim out that stuff, but occasionally it does get by. Yes. Look at how pretty that is. It's working just like I envisioned it. Friends, how could this be? Nothing ever works just like I envisioned it. Let's see if I do this. I could have probably got by with the next size smaller, which I did in fact bring. But I was thinking that maybe I really wanted the extra. You know what? I don't like that. I am going to switch to the smaller, and I'm going to do something different. You'll see in a minute what I'm talking about. I'm going to put the smaller clamps on, and I'm going to change the orientation of them so that it's not, I don't want that big, the part that holds the screw itself. I really don't want that to be touching the radiator. So I think if I do it this way, I will have a much better I'm behind that flare I made right now, so I should be in good shape. Oh, friends, I love it when a plan actually comes together and it's got a potential of working. All right, now likewise, we're going to think about this. I probably should have, and I can still do that here in a second if this doesn't work, but I should probably have started it on this up in the air where I could get to it easy, because I bet you it's not going to let me do what I want. There we go. Come on. Oh, I got a hose clamp stuck. Doesn't seem possible, but if anybody could do it, I could. There. Beautiful. Beautiful. And we'll just get the very technical terms I'm using. We're going to get that hose clamp. I think we got this licked, friend. I can't believe it. That is much more better than what was there. Let's put this back together. Got distracted there, ADD. But I'm going to put the alternator back on. And then we're going to try to run it and see if we fixed it that much so far. And if that works, then we'll tackle the other one, which I don't know why we wouldn't have fixed it. But I'm excited because it might cut down on all this trash from now on. Sweet. All right, let's go up with this. There we go. All right. Now the only problem is, I don't know what I did with the bolt that was in there. Oh, you know what? Would that run really good with the belt like that? Probably not, dum-dum. Now, that makes a little more sense, doesn't it? Brand new belt covered with oil? Sure. It's really depressing, but it wasn't leaking when I put that together. So, truth be told, another battle we're going to have sometime in the future is the radiator isn't very good and it probably needs replaced. So hopefully that exists somewhere, because I don't know, it just looks pretty rotten and I don't think it's going to make it. I'm going to try to wipe it clean here real quick just to get some idea of what we're working with. All right. Well, let's try to start it. I know that'll upset it and we'll have stuff all over the ground, but let's give her a go. You still in park, I hope? I think we got that, friends. Looks pretty slick. All right, we're partway finished. Now we're going to do the long one. And I don't know what I want to do. I got a 40-inch piece left and a 51-inch piece, and then the piece we sawed off of that Watch-A-Me. But I feel like I'm not going to get it all tucked where it needs to be. I don't know if that makes sense or not. I really don't like it either when guys leave the little things on there, but I also hate to cut a piece. I hate to cut a piece for nothing. I might bend up this other end and see what what it gets me. That's not enough. It doesn't need to be 90, but it needs to be more than that. We'll call that 57 or something, you know. We'll just make up a... That's about right. So if I want it to be in the holders, then I need it to be there. And then somewhere in this neighborhood, I'm gonna struggle. No. Okay. Somewhere in this neighborhood, I'm gonna take it over that way. Just up to there. Right. And then, geez, it's so close, you know. You want it to work, but at the same rate, I think it's too long, which is fine, because it would be better if we joined it somewhere out here than have it just absolutely crammed in there. So I think I'm going to cut it under that sticker, and then that will get rid of my other piece that I didn't want on there. And the other end, I'm going to try to use a union and put it together. So that's why I do what I do. Now you might be asking yourself, why are you making this so difficult? Why don't you just get a piece of long hose and put it back the way it was? Well, I'm a believer that metal lines don't leak very much, and also you just went psychedelic, so that's great. So I didn't fix the problem like I thought I did. But anyway, what I'm saying is they don't leak as much if I'm doing it this way, and they cool better. So I'm going to shut you off and let you cool better, and then we'll try. Well, I was having so much fun I forgot to start filming again. But I got this put in here nicely through the foam in the line holder there. Hey, the Alice Chalmers even got in on this project. I was able to use pieces of its old fuel hose to be insulators for my line. I brought it down here and I unioned it together with the short piece I had left over from the other one. Tucked it in there, put a little bend in it, clamped it in here, and then it goes back to there. So everything is out of the way, just the way that I think it ought to be. And I have high hopes that this is actually going to be a nice setup. I think I'm happy with everything. I'm just overlooking what I got going on. I mean, if it rubs a hole in something, it rubs a hole in it. I mean, that's just life. I was going to try to see if I couldn't finagle it in there. Just there. Yeah, I like that better. Now rubber is hitting this line instead of steel. The tack cable is also in there, which makes for a tight fit. And I also believe that that is probably where it was leaking from, why this is all covered with stuff. I don't know that for sure. It really, I don't know how that block's made, so I'm not going to speculate on that. But yeah, there's still a haze from where we worked on it yesterday. But anyway, she is tucked in there good. So I guess we ought run it again real quick. It's still hooked up. Uh-oh, it doesn't like it when you don't. Oh yeah. stopped our hydraulic leaks up here really good. I believe it's still dry in there. Yep. Good deal. All right, well, I will go ahead and put this back together, but I think we can call this a success. So I'm glad what I dreamt up last night in my dreams really is what I wanted, because that I think will last much more better. Hydraulic, or not hydraulic hose, but rubber hose is just prone to failure at some point. So steel line, unless it vibrates a hole in it somewhere, it should be a little more durable, and then your rubber is limited to just short sections. And I try to do stuff like that whenever it's possible. Here, if I had had a little more line, I would have tried to take it out to maybe here, but that would have been a difficult process to get it fed in there. The way I did it, I was able to clamp the hose on it first and then pull it through there, and then everything worked out. So, you know, we cut down dramatically on the amount of rubber line that there was. So now if it leaks, it's going to be between there and there. So, yeah. So I'm going to probably try to clean some of that up too before I put that cover on. But I'm going to call this a success. And hopefully we won't lose any expensive hydraulic oil as we use it now. I should have paid more attention, but I didn't think that that's what was happening when I looked at it. And I didn't know that that tube was made the way that it was, because I've never had that apart. Basically, I've done very little to this over the years other than trying to figure out what its problems are, and each time I learn something, because when you look at the book, this hydraulic system seems kind of complicated. Like, why would they do it that way? And it's probably because everybody was working in a different room in the engineering laboratory, and on the last day they decided, hey, we got to put this thing together. So there's a lot of stuff on here that makes me feel that way, but it does work. Basically, it pumps, there's a transmission pump right behind in the bell housing, and it pumps the oil from the rear end up to this tank, and then that's what feeds the main hydraulic pump. That way they figured it would always have some on reserve, because if you were using the hydraulics a bunch, I guess you could run it dry and it couldn't keep up from the back. Why they made it that way, I don't know. Why they couldn't figure out how to make it, you know, do what it's supposed to. But so it's constantly pumping oil up to this tank, and then I guess what it doesn't need just goes back all the time. Half of the radiator is a hydraulic cooler, and like I said, none of that stuff is in excellent shape. It looks like it's getting pretty rotten from the years of use. So I'm sure that will be an adventure at some point that I'm going to have to tackle, and I'm sure you're probably going to be along for the ride on that. But I'm satisfied with what's happened here today, and our next project is going to be, I'm going to have to order that, because see, it just dripped there. When you shut it off, it starts leaking. So yeah, and we don't need to be wasting gas, so probably should clean that off too whilst we're here, you know. And I might run the air compressor real quick and get the air gun and do that, but you don't need to watch that. We got fixed what we set out to do, and that's always a good day. Do you suffer from low intelligence and are easily entertained? Well, then hit that thumbs up button and leave a comment. And that way we can keep making entertainment that your feeble minds can understand. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.